Hey, it's Rachel, and today we are going to dive deep into a topic known as fear. Because I realized that fear is the thing that's holding a lot of people back. Maybe that's fear of success, or fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of public speaking, fear of putting yourself out there. There's so many fears that hold people back, like fear of maybe talking to your boss. It could be so many different kinds of fear, and people keep telling you that, oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that, or it's not appropriate to do this or it's not appropriate to do that. But that's in their ideals, that's in their own ingrained knowledge. That I remember when I was working in the pharmacy, that they had this hierarchy thing going on, and that people were afraid to go up to the higher ups because of bypassing their direct managers. And they're like, okay, that's not how the hierarchy should go. That's not how communication should be done. But yet maybe their managers are kind of problematic. The problematic people are like their direct managers, and now they want to voice out their concern, but yet they don't know how to, because there's this hierarchy. And so people are afraid, and then they don't do anything about it, and they just suffer at work because they're just like, okay, there's this situation, but I'm afraid that if I spoke up, I'm afraid that if I told, you know, the people that's not directly managing them, like the higher ups, then I might lose my job, or else might know about it. And yes, I agree that there are companies with toxic cultures who just don't take care of their people. I do agree on that. But there are also other companies who listens to everyone's opinions, and provided that they're reasonable and not just like, my manager is an awful person because she's got blue hair. So that's not reasonable. But like, for example, if it's my manager has like some issues with her maybe being like a slacker, or maybe they just don't do anything and they just, you know, push all their work to like everyone else, and they're just not a great leader, then at this point you'll start to see that if the boss still favors the manager, then there's obviously something wrong in this company. And I have been in such a company before, which is why I speak about this from my experience. Anyway, we're gonna dive into fear and why you would be in a better position if you overcame it. Okay, so let's dive right in. Overcoming your fear. All right. Um, Hang on. Just gonna put myself on the left-hand corner. Cool. So unsuccessful people, or people who are just mediocre, I wouldn't say unsuccessful, but you're kind of, plodding along in your life, and you're just kind of there. You're not where you want to be, and you probably might never be where you want to be, especially if you continue this. But the idea is unsuccessful people, or people who aren't where they want to be, avoid fear. Because I can understand, like, it's really uncomfortable, it's really scary, and it makes you freeze up. It's like this thing is like your nightmares. It's like something that's like chasing you in the night, and I can understand it. Fear does sound really scary, and it is no like this is no surprise that people avoid fear because they don't like feeling uncomfortable. It's totally out of their comfort zone. It's like stepping out of their comfort zone to even, face the fear. So that's normal. Just know that that's normal. But like when we talk about fear, it is actually a reaction. It is an illusion created by you. And obviously you might not believe that now, but I just want to show you that there's been studies that say that there's only two innate fears that we're born with. So as a baby, when you're just born into this world, there's only two fears that we've got. One is the fear of falling, and the other one is the fear of loud noises. So have a look online and you'll see these articles. The rest of it are just responses to ideas that we've created from things we thought were true but actually aren't. So I personally have a fear of spiders. And I think that's pretty common along a lot of people. But I believe that spiders are all dangerous and they're all poisonous, and if I, came into contact with a spider, that it's gonna kill me. But to be honest, out of so many species of spiders, there are poisonous ones, although there's probably antidotes created for their poison already as of the current, medical um landscape, because technology is advancing, health is advancing, everything's advancing. So there's definitely going to be antidotes. And actually, most of the species aren't even dangerous. They don't even like humans, and they just, do their own thing. They just eat their own bugs. They just create their own webs, and they like, dusty places. And if your house or your workplace is particularly dusty, then you're probably likely to find them. And some of them just love, staying in the forest or on like, soil and stuff like that, because it's just dark and it's a good place for them. The idea there is, I had that mentality that everything is dangerous about spiders, and I'm just so scared of them. And then it was only until I've started to realize that actually I'm not quite right about it. So there are dangerous spiders, yes, but they're probably not around us. The spiders around us might look big, might look scary, but they aren't the dangerous ones. And if you really hate them, then just whack them. Although there are some religions that don't think that that's appropriate, which is like killing a live animal. But anyway, my point is, it is just an illusion. And while there might be, certain little bit of truth to it that certain spiders are dangerous, it doesn't mean that we should be, just paralyzed by our fear of them. And so, on the other hand, successful people, they're a bit different. So people who have achieved what they want and continue striving for more, or people who are on the way to what they want, they actually, face and they embrace their fears. Because fear, as I mentioned before, is a reaction. It's like an illusion. And you can give power to that fear, and you can also take it away. Because when you give power to that fear, then you just be like fearing this, fearing that, feeling paralyzed by the fear. You'll just be frozen on the spot. But if you take back that power, if you don't let fear have that power, and you embrace it and you face it, then that's when your life will start to become better. That's when you try new things, take action, and you don't mind failing, because obviously a huge fear is the fear of failure, and people don't try anything because they have just fear of failing at something. And actually, sometimes it's not even about the fear of failing, it's about the fear of how people might look at you when you fail, how people might laugh at you, how people might judge you, especially when you fail. But I mean, when you're starting a new thing, it's normal to fail, you just have to normalize that. It is okay to fail, it's normal to fail, especially when you're starting a new thing, and then you just keep working on it and working on it and working on it. And then there will be a point where, that point where your skill starts to improve and you're no longer going to be like, failing per se. You're going to improve and you're gonna do better and you're gonna have better results. And that's when success starts to take place. But people don't go and don't ever go that far because they just give up too early, number one, because maybe of fear that they don't want even more people to judge them, or they don't want to keep trying because it just feels so tiring to be failing. And yeah, but successful people don't do that. They focus on taking one action at a time. They don't mind getting judged because they know that it's temporary. They will succeed in the end. And it is that success that they are working towards. They don't care about how others view them when they're failing, because it doesn't matter. These people will not be there with you when you're successful. So this is the thing that I want to get across. And the fear acronyms, I realized that there are two. So number one, which is the one I was taught, is false evidence appearing real, because you got to understand that, when you've got a fear, it's usually there's some false evidence that you think it's real, but it's actually not. And the other one, which I recently found in love, it's face everything and rise above it. When you face your fears and you rise above it, that is when you become limitless. You will not have any chains, any shackles, because you will just do it. You will not have any fear. And you will continue to take action until you get the results you want. You get the results you deserve. So the point about fear is you really need to face it, acknowledge it, face it, and then overcome it. So fear is a choice, as I mentioned, and you can think about it as like, okay, so there's this fear. You want to just accept that you'll feel it. That's normal. You want to acknowledge it, and you want to break it down and analyze it. So I realized that after searching online, the biggest fear for people is actually the fear of public speaking. And I believe it's not really public speaking per se that they fear, but it's about like, when they go up on stage and maybe they stutter, or maybe they don't feel confident, or maybe they say something wrong, like maybe, while they're reading the script, they could have jumped over a few words, forgotten a few sentences, and then it feels as if like the whole thing's not coherent, and then afterwards it just feels like you're the laughing stock of that entire presentation. And yeah, okay, like, people might laugh at you for making a shitty presentation. People might joke about you behind your back, although these people definitely shouldn't be your friends. People might, be really discouraging to you, to say that, hey, you suck at public speaking. Like, why are you even doing it? These people shouldn't be your friends as well. We can talk about friends in another video, but I'm just saying that you really want friends that, encourage and support you and push you for the better. Okay. Because people who work harder than you or who work as hard as you will not judge you. All right. People who want the same progress or who want even better progress than you will not judge you. So that's the difference between good friends and bad friends. And going back to fear, when you think about it, is it really that serious? Like, it's not as if you're gonna die if you get laughed at by people, right? So it's about how you allow this power of people's laughter, of people's, judgment to affect you. Like, if you don't give that power, you're not gonna be affected. And is it really that serious? Really, just, it's not like you're gonna die just from speaking on stage once and failing, right? If you're talking to me, like, if you let's say went, what do you call it, skydiving. Yes, if you went skydiving and you went there without any, safety harnesses and things, which wouldn't happen at all, then you obviously know that you're gonna die. Then obviously that fear is really serious, because you know that you're gonna break your bones, you're gonna die, you're gonna probably die a horrible death, you're gonna be bleeding all around, and that's when it's serious. Okay, but in most of the cases it's not. Okay, when you talk about public speaking, it is really not serious when you go up and flop. When you talk about, let's say, playing the piano poorly, like, okay, when you get started, it's natural to, not be great at it. I learned to like piano, and I regretted not sticking around on it for long enough, because that was kind of forced by my parents, but it was a huge regret I've got. And I've learned other instruments such as guitar, drums, and guzheng. I remember when I first started playing guzheng, because that was the one that I learned the longest. I had to only play like simple tunes, and there wasn't any specific techniques or like things that were really fancy, and it was just simple tunes that I played, like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and some other simple Chinese songs. And then as my skill progressed to like grade 8, then there starts to become a lot more I guess strategies. Not say strategies, a lot more ways to play the guzheng that at grade 3 I wouldn't have known, and grade 3 I wouldn't have been able to execute as well. It just takes some time, it just takes some effort, and it takes, failing. failing a couple of times, practice, and then I went for exams and I passed it, and then, things like that. So you gotta keep practicing. So like I said, break down your fear. Is it really that serious for that fear? And then if it's not, then you probably shouldn't be fearing it. And anything that is not death causing probably isn't gonna be serious. Like, yes, my fear of spiders could potentially cause me death if I wasn't careful with poisonous spiders, but on hindsight, I shouldn't be afraid of all spiders. I could have probably studied spiders a little bit better and, taught myself how to look out for poisonous spiders so that all the other spiders are just a nuisance and not a fear. All right. And like I said, you have more control over fear than you think. If we can cause ourselves to expand our fear by giving it power, we can also reverse the process by taking away the power and reduce our fear. And what I mean by reduce the fear, you will probably reduce it. And then to one point, you will understand why this fear came about and no longer have that fear. And so some tips to overcome your fear of taking action, because obviously there's different kinds of fears, but the biggest fear that I want to tackle in this channel is the fear of taking action, because I feel like a lot of people are stuck in their lives, whether that's at a job, at a relationship, with their health, because of not taking action. And the only reason why they fear to take this action is because probably they fear the pain. For example, going to the gym and stretching out your muscles are pretty painful. For example, they fear that they might get rejected. Talking to girls, it's getting rejected is normal. Talking to guys, like I personally have been rejected, kind of, by a guy before. That was kind of a stupid story as well. It was kind of like a one-sided crush. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, at least I tried, So I tried it, I learned from it, and then life goes on. So yeah, in relationships, just the idea that, people are stuck because they want to find their soulmate, they want to find their partner, but they just don't want to take action because they're like, what if that person rejects me? What if I don't get along? What if we have a sucky first date, And in terms of like, financials, then people are just stuck at the jobs that they hate. Some people, not all. If you love your job, that's great. If you don't, then we're probably referring to you. And yeah, they're just stuck because then they fear of taking action, of like changing the career pathways, learning a new skill online and doing something else, So to overcome the fear of taking action, think about the positive outcome of the action done. Let's say that you fear public speaking and you want to try, but you're not sure, like you don't want to, embarrass yourself. That's okay, but that is like the negative outcome of, doing public speaking. The positive outcome could be, number one, you actually do quite well. I wouldn't say perfectly, but maybe you don't suck as bad as you think you would. And number two would be, hey, at least you get like a learning lesson out of it. That could be, you could find coaches that coach you through public speaking and tell you how to, present even better, present more confidently, and present as if, present like you could captivate the audience. Yeah. The second one is to make your goals bite-sized, because some people fear taking action because let's say that they make their goals as, oh, I want to get a $10 million house in 10 years. And then you're just looking at a $10 million house and you're like, wow, that sounds really far. Especially if you haven't got a house yet. You're just like, the $10 million house. How am I going to get that? How am I going to get that? And then you think and you think and you think and you're like, oh, it just doesn't sound feasible, even though it is in 10 years and it actually sounds all right, If you make your goals bite-sized, and you chunk it down and you say that, okay, maybe to get the $10 million house in 10 years, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to try and, grow and scale my own business, or, work for someone that allows you to at least have a 6-figure income and then start and grow and scale that. And basically chunk it down. And so you can know, like, rather than $10 million house in 10 years, you can chunk it down to, okay, what are you going to get achieved in this 1 year? And then afterwards, you want to consistently review and think about your why behind the goal. So that has been addressed in one of my other videos about, finding out the main reason why you want this goal of yours, the main reason why you want to achieve this goal. And you want to consistently review and think about that, because when you're consistently thinking about that why, when you're having that strong purpose, that strong reason backing you up, supporting you, that is when you will continue to take action, even when things get hard, even when you feel like giving up your why, especially if you have a strong why. Like, for example, you want to break your family out of poverty, or you want to be that role model father to your kids who are, just born or something, or you want to retire your parents from their jobs that they actually don't like, but they're just, having their jobs to support the family. You want to retire them from there, and you want to show them your love. And why is actually a really, really strong support for you in terms of taking action to reach your goals. All right, and that is all for my tips. So to recap, fear is just an illusion. You want to do whatever it takes to analyze it, break it down, chunk it down, and in terms of your goals, to chunk it down, and then afterwards, think about, is this fear reasonable? Are you really gonna die from it? Is this fear even like real? Fear of public speaking really isn't real. It is just you being a bit too self-conscious. And to a certain extent, it's good. To a certain extent, it's bad. Because being self-conscious means the good part is, you want to learn and you want to improve. The bad part is you're just afraid of getting judged, so you don't take action. Okay. So to summarize, you want to take as much action as possible, and action is the thing that will drive out thoughts of fear. So with taking action, you will slowly begin to lose your fears. The fear will slowly die away, because through taking action, through improving yourself, that's when you no longer fear that thing that you initially feared. Try it out and you might see a huge change. All right. If you like these kind of videos, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you want more tips on living out your best life and value-driven content, my social media links are up on the top right-hand corner of the page. And I wish you an amazing day. See you.